Hi everyone, Vanessa Webb, Stampin'Up Demonstrator Australia here. I've been asked by a couple of my followers recently to show how I created this ghosting effect in the background of my cards that I've been posting recently. This effect is done on glossy white cardstock, so you will need to grab some of that if you don't have any. And I wanted to show you the background first, and then I'll also show you how I created this greeting section on the card. So yeah, using Versamark in two different ways on this card to create all those layers. So here's how I did it. You will need to grab a stamp set, obviously. The one that I'm using is Flurry of Wishes, which has been around a little while, and it's one of my favourite stamp sets. If you like snowflakes, it's got some really beautiful snowflakes in it. It's in the annual catalogue. So what I'm going to do is just ink up, it's a Versamark ink pad that I'm using, and I'm going to ink up the stamps and stamp them randomly over the top of the card on the glossy side, obviously. So this is how we create the effect. So it's a little bit hard to see where I put it, but if you tilt it in the light, you can see the ink is picking up the light there. So if you want to know where you've stamped before, just bring it over to the light. Oh, that's very sticky. That's the thing with Versamark. You want it to be sticky when you're embossing, but it ends up being sticky all the time. Just filling in the gaps here, because I can see where I've stamped. Alright, so we actually don't need to apply any powder to this. Once it's on the glossy cardstock, it behaves a little bit differently to how it behaves on normal cardstock. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to grab my Sponge Brayer and some Island Indigo ink. So I'm creating the Island Indigo version of the one that I had on my blog. I will put all the ingredients down the bottom of this video so you'll know what I've used and where to go to add it to your shopping cart if you need any of these supplies. If you're in Australia, you can shop 24/7 in my store. Can you see what's happening as I'm inking up the Sponge Brayer and just rolling it over the top of the glossy cardstock? I'm starting at the top each time because I want it to go from dark to light down the cardstock. And you can see how that image is popping out. It's almost like I have used clear embossing powder. And you know I haven't, because you saw how I just simply stamped the images in Versamark. So that's how simple this technique is. And if I hold it up to the light, you can see that really lovely light and shade going down, but also those images really pop off the background. So that is the ghosting technique. Pretty simple. If you look at my card though, you'll see that there is an extra layer on there. So popping out from the background, we've got another snowflake, and I used the large snowflake embossing folder from the current holiday catalogue to create that image. So let me just pop that in there, and I'm going to bring in my big shot. And just run that through as you would a normal embossing folder. It's quite simple to do, but obviously you do this after you've stamped, so that you're getting the layers on the card that you want, and you're always sort of starting from the bottom in the background and then working up to the top. So there is that snowflake effect, the layered effect with the embossing folder over the ghosting, which is pretty cool. So bringing in the card again, you can see I've obviously used a couple of embellishments. I've got the foil snowflakes, which come in gold and silver, so you can see the difference here. They're in the holiday catalogue as well. I've got some embellishments, which are from the Year of Cheer suite, and they come in silver and gold, so you can match them to your projects. And we've got a bow of holly as well as a star. I've also used a couple of the gorgeous glitter enamel dots, and these are great too because they've got a graduation of colour, and you can use them with almost any colour, blue, yellow, pink or green, and they will coordinate with all of the Stampin' Up colours I've found. So you can see I've actually dotted them across the card just for an added effect. It almost looks like water droplets with a little bit of Dazzling Diamonds glitter in it, but they're so easy to apply. They're just self-adhesive, and you stick them onto your project like that. So pretty simple and quick. The last thing I wanted to show you was how to get that emboss resist look for your greeting. And the greetings come from this stamp set called Every Good Wish, which is a new stamp set in the holiday catalogue, and you can create lots of different effects. Lots of different effects with that card. I got a bit excited there. Sorry about that. This one is a stamp set that's got two different greetings with a lot of rubber in the image. So it's sort of like a relief image that creates the greeting. And I wanted to show you how I did that. I've actually cut another circle here with some glossy white cardstock again. And we're going to use the Versamark. So let me just ink it up. I'm inking it up upside down because the stamp is slightly larger. It's a little bit taller than the other greeting. So I wanted to make sure that first of all I ink it up correctly. So I've got the stamp facing me. And I'm going to put the circle shiny side down onto the stamp. But this is a much easier way to tell whether you're actually getting the stamp in the right spot on your circle. If you're stamping a larger stamp onto a smaller piece of cardstock, this is a technique that I often use. So I apply the ink to the stamp and then I flip the cardstock over onto the stamp and use my fingers just to make sure that image has been transferred. Now when I flip it over, you won't see much. You might see a little bit of shininess there. You can just make out the image. But when we get some embossing powder on there and heat it with the heat gun, you'll be able to see that a whole lot better. Just get that out of the way. So I've got some gold because this card is gold as opposed to silver. So I'm using just a card that I've run over with the embossing buddy, and that's sort of going to catch all my powder, and then I can pour it straight back in. So if you don't have a tray for your powder, this is the next best thing. Just grab a piece of card folded. A card front would be fine. You can always reuse it later. I've got my tweezers here. I'm just going to heat this, so a little bit of noise. Don't you love embossing? It's a real wow, isn't it? So simple and easy to do. So that is done. Now to add the colour, let me just bring this one in to show you what it looks like when the colour's added. All I'm going to do is grab my Sponge Brayer again and ink it up in the Island Indigo, and I'm just going to squiggle it over the top. You don't have to be too precise with it. You can actually leave little gaps if you want to. You can make some bits lighter and some bits darker, so you sort of get like a light and shade effect on there as well. I've popped some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back and adhered it to the doily, the foil doily. And I've also used a couple of dimensionals on the back of the doily. I don't know if you can see under there as well. So that's the recipe for putting the card together. The ribbon goes around the full section that's had the ghosting effect onto it. So you want to tie your ribbon. This ribbon comes in both silver and gold metal edge, metallic edge. So this is a very vanilla. The silver comes in white. So that goes around the whole piece. I've actually put a layer of just a small section of the sparkly, the gold glimmer paper, which adds, you know, a little bit of extra sparkle to the card. And there's my Year of Cheer embellishment there. So I've used the star on this one. On my original card, as I said, I had silver, and I've used the holly bough, so you can see the difference in the two there. I hope you enjoyed learning about this technique, and I hope you give it a go. It's really quite fun. You can try it out with some different stamp sets that you might have at home. As I said, all the ingredients will be at the bottom of this video if you would like to shop for any supplies. And thank you for watching today. Bye.